Subscribe to Echo Tales for deeply emotional, romantic, and mature stories that echo through your heart. Don't forget to like, share, and comment to support meaningful storytelling. Leah and Daniel had been best friends for 8 years. From the moment they met in college, something between them just clicked. They both loved books, quiet coffee shops, and late-night talks about dreams and heartbreaks. Daniel was calm and thoughtful, with kind eyes that seemed to listen even when he wasn't speaking. Leah was soft-spoken, full of quiet warmth, and always noticed the little things no one else did. Their friendship became something solid and beautiful, like a favorite song you could play over and over without getting tired. They did everything together: road trips, birthdays, movie nights, and helping each other through breakups. To the outside world, it seemed obvious. They looked like a couple, acted like a couple, and clearly cared deeply for each other. People would often ask, "Are you two dating?" Leah would laugh it off, saying, "No, we're just best friends." Daniel would smile too, but deep down, something in his eyes looked a little uncertain, like maybe he wasn't always sure that was the truth. What Leah never told anyone was that sometimes, when Daniel looked at her a certain way, or when they sat close on the couch during movie nights, her heart would flutter in a way she didn't want to admit. It was a feeling she buried, telling herself it was just friendship, just comfort. She was afraid of ruining what they had, afraid that if she ever told him how she felt, she would lose the one person who had always been there for her. And besides, Daniel had dated other people. So had she. The timing was never right. When he was single, she wasn't. When she was ready, he was healing. So instead of saying anything, she hid her feelings deep inside, pretending her heart wasn't quietly longing for more. She told herself it was enough, to just be near him, to have his friendship, to be the person he always came back to. But sometimes, late at night, when she lay in bed thinking about the way he smiled at her, or how he always knew when something was wrong without her saying a word, she wondered, what if he felt the same? What if they were both too afraid to speak the truth? Leah never imagined things would ever change between them. Their friendship was safe, familiar, full of shared memories and inside jokes. They had built a world together, piece by piece. But even the strongest friendships can hide deeper feelings, and even the quietest hearts can carry the loudest love. What she didn't know was that Daniel had been asking himself the same questions, that behind his calm smile, he too was wondering how long they could keep pretending. Then came one night, unexpected, tender, and filled with the kind of quiet tension that speaks louder than words. A night that would slowly, gently, and forever shift what they thought they knew about each other. And as the sun set that evening, neither of them knew it yet. But their story was about to change in a way that would stay with them for the rest of their lives. Because sometimes, the person you were meant to love has been beside you all along. You just need one brave moment to finally see it. It was Daniel's 30th birthday, and Leah had planned something special, just for the two of them. She knew he didn't like big parties or loud surprises, so instead, she cooked his favorite pasta, baked a small chocolate cake, and decorated her apartment with soft lights and candles. Music played gently in the background, and everything felt warm and peaceful. Daniel arrived looking tired, but when he saw what Leah had done, his eyes softened. "You remembered," he said with a small smile, and Leah's heart quietly melted. They sat down for dinner, talking and laughing like they always did. But beneath the laughter, Leah could feel something different in the air, a quiet tension, something unspoken sitting between them. Daniel had just gone through another breakup. Leah didn't ask for details, but she could tell his heart was tired. She wanted to hold him, to comfort him, but all she could do was sit close and listen. After dinner, they moved to the couch with glasses of wine. The room was dim, the city lights glowing softly through the window. They talked about old memories, college days, and silly things that had once made them laugh until their stomachs hurt. As the night grew quieter, so did they. A calm silence settled over them. And then, without warning, Daniel spoke, his voice low and unsure. "Leah, do you ever think about us, like, more than just friends?" Leah's heart skipped a beat. She didn't answer right away. Her fingers tightened slightly around the wine glass. "Why are you asking me that?" she whispered. Daniel looked down, his voice even softer now. "Because I do. I've thought about it for a long time. I just never knew if you felt the same." Leah felt like the world had stopped for a moment. For years, she had wondered what it would be like to hear him say those words. And now that it was real, she didn't know what to do. The fear rushed in. What if this ruined everything? But then she looked at him. Really looked. This was Daniel, her best friend, her constant, the man who knew her better than anyone. She thought about every late-night phone call, every time he held her when she cried, every quiet moment they had shared that had felt like more than friendship. Her voice trembled, but she spoke honestly. "I've thought about it too," she said, barely above a whisper. "More times than I can count." Daniel looked up, eyes wide with something between relief and disbelief. Slowly, without a word, he reached for her hand. And in that moment, something shifted. It wasn't dramatic. There were no fireworks, no sudden kiss, just two people finally, admitting what their hearts had known for a long time. They sat like that for a while, hand in hand, hearts racing, both afraid to move too quickly. Neither of them said what would happen next. But something unspoken passed between them. A soft, silent promise that nothing would ever be the same. That night, something beautiful began. A door that had been closed for years finally cracked open. And even though they didn't know what was waiting on the other side, one thing was clear. They couldn't pretend anymore. What had once been just friendship had quietly grown into something deeper. And now, it was finally ready to be seen. Sometimes, the most important moments in life come quietly, in the glow of soft lights and the silence between two hearts, finally speaking the same truth. After that unforgettable night, something between Leah and Daniel changed, but not in a loud or obvious way. It was soft, slow, and delicate, like a flower just beginning to open. They didn't talk about what happened right away. They didn't label anything or rush into big decisions. But the way they looked at each other had changed. There was a new kind of warmth in Daniel's eyes, and a gentle nervousness in Leah's smile. When they sat together, they were just a little closer than before. When their hands touched, even by accident, neither of them pulled away. It felt natural. And yet, they were both afraid. For years, they had been best friends, sharing everything, depending on each other. Now, with these new feelings out in the open, they both started wondering, what if this ruined what they already had? Leah found herself overthinking every little moment. When Daniel texted her good morning, her heart fluttered. But she also wondered if he meant it in a new way. When he was quiet, she worried. Was he changing his mind? Was he regretting the things they said that night? And Daniel? He was struggling too. He had always been the calm one, the steady one. But now he was unsure. He didn't want to rush Leah. He didn't want to push her into something she wasn't ready for. But most of all, he didn't want to lose her. Their friendship was the most important thing in his life, and risking it for love felt terrifying, even if it was the love he had been dreaming about for years. Days passed. They still talked. They still laughed. But something was missing. That magical night had opened. A door. But now they were both standing on the edge, afraid to step through. Leah missed him, even when he was right beside her. She missed the easy way they used to joke, the comfort of knowing exactly where they stood. Now, every moment was filled with questions. Did he still want this? Did she? The truth was, she had never wanted anything more, but the fear of losing him was bigger than anything she had ever felt. Then, one evening, Daniel came over to Leah's apartment like he always did. But this time he seemed quiet, almost distant. They watched a movie, but neither of them was really paying attention. When he left, Leah found a small envelope on her kitchen counter with her name written on the front in his handwriting. Her heart skipped. With shaking hands, she opened it. Inside was a short note, just a few words, but they said everything. Leah, I'm scared too, but not loving you. That's the only thing I'm truly afraid of now. Tears filled her eyes as she read the words over and over. For the first time in days, her heart felt calm. He hadn't changed his mind. He hadn't pulled away. He was just as scared as she was. But he was also sure about her, about them, about what they could be if they were both brave enough to try. In that quiet moment, alone in her kitchen, Leah realized something. Love wasn't just about excitement and butterflies. It was about choosing someone, even when it's scary. It was about trusting that the bond they had built, this deep, beautiful friendship, was strong enough to grow into something even more, and maybe, just maybe, love had been there all along, quietly waiting for them to be ready. Leah stood in her kitchen holding Daniel's letter, her fingers trembling, her heart full. His words echoed in her mind. I'm scared too, but not loving you. That's the only thing I'm truly afraid of now. For so long, she had kept her feelings quiet, buried deep inside, telling herself it was safer that way. But now, reading those honest, brave words from the man she loved, something inside her finally let go. The fear, the confusion, the what-ifs, they faded. All that was left was love, real and full and ready to be known. Without thinking, she grabbed her coat and ran out into the evening air. The sky was gray, and a soft summer rain was falling, but Leah didn't care. She needed to see him. She needed to tell him that she had always loved him too. When Daniel opened the door to his apartment, he looked surprised, but only for a second. He saw her standing there in the rain, hair damp, cheeks flushed, her eyes full of something he had waited so long to see. She didn't say anything at first. She just walked straight into his arms and held him tightly, as if she was afraid he might slip away. Daniel wrapped his arms around her just as tightly, resting his chin on her shoulder. For a few moments, they simply stood there, holding each other, letting everything unspoken pass between them. Then Leah whispered softly against his chest, I've loved you for so long. I just didn't know if it was safe to say it. Daniel pulled back just enough to look into her eyes. It's always been you, he said, his voice barely more than a breath. That night, there were no grand declarations, no fireworks, just two people finally stepping into the truth they had been dancing around for years. They didn't need to rush. They didn't need to plan the future right away. All that mattered was that they had finally found their way to each other. Not as friends pretending not to feel, but as two hearts that had quietly loved each other through everything. The next few days felt like a dream. They still did all. The things they used to do. Coffee in the morning, long walks, movie nights. But now there was something more. They held hands without hesitation. They kissed softly, like they had always known how. They looked at each other with wonder, as if discovering each other all over again. And the best part? Their friendship didn't disappear. It grew stronger. Now every shared laugh, Every inside joke, every quiet comfort had a deeper meaning. They had been each other's best friend for so long, but now they were also each other's love. The kind of love that doesn't need to shout to be real. The kind that stays, the kind that builds something beautiful. One small moment at a time. Leah often thought back to all the years they spent hiding their hearts, wondering what might happen if they ever crossed the line. And now that they had, she realized something powerful. It wasn't the end of their story. It was only the beginning. They had loved each other in silence, through friendship, through longing, through fear. But now, they loved each other out loud. And every day after that night felt like a quiet celebration of what had always been true. Sometimes love isn't a sudden storm. Sometimes it's a slow, steady rain, falling gently, patiently, until one day you finally step into it and realize you've been standing in love all along.